It's Verena and it's Spirit Week. Okay, today we're going to be doing 113 and 114, but we have a special guest.
Hi, I'm Chelsea and I'm excited to help with this lesson.
Yay!
Okay, we're going to start with the piecewise functions problem. The graph of F below shows the price of generic high school yearbooks. The yearbook sells for $40 the first 5 months of school. After that, the price increases every month. So, in order to get the domain, we have to look at the ranges between the x's. So, we're going to start with the first line, which technically ends at 5 because it's an open circle, but the line above it still has the closed dot. So, that keeps going up all the way. So, it would include 0, so you would do 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or not equal to, because the last dot is open, 9. Alrighty, and then the range, we would just do the separate numbers. So when you look at the y-axis, you would do 40, because that's where this line is, and then 50, because that's where this line is, but not in between because it doesn't go between points. And then you just keep going up, so it's 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. And then finally, if we're trying to find f 5.5, you're going to look at the x-axis for that. And f 5.5 is about right here. And you can just look up to where it would connect on the graph. I'm just going to draw little dots so that I can easily find where that is. And you can see that it connects to the 50. So f 5.5 would equal 50, meaning that the cost of the yearbook, excuse my handwriting, 5.5 months after school starts is $50. Yay! Okay, now we're going to do the function model selection. We're going to start with number 1, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 4, 15, 50, 121, 240, and 419. So, we're going to start with the difference between the y's. So, this one is 11. And then the difference between 15 and 50 is 35. 50 and 121 is 71. 121 and 240 is 119. And then finally, 240 and 419 is 179. And then we'll just keep going down until it's all the same. So the difference between 11 and 35 is 24. 35 and 71 is 36. 71 and 119 is 48. And then 119 and 179 is 60. Finally, we're going to get to the point where it's all the same number. So it's plus 12, plus 12, and plus 12. So, because there's 3 levels of this, in order to get to all the same number, it is cubic. So, third difference constant of 12. Perfect. All right, now we're going to do number 3, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 119, 110, 95, 74, 47, and 14. So with the y's, you're going to start with subtracting because it's going less than. So this one would be -9. And then from 110 to 95, it's -15. 95 to 74 is -21. 74 to 47 is -27. And then finally 47 to 14 is -33. And then our second level, we're going to start with -6, -6, -6, and -6 again. So this one is only 2 levels, so it's going to be quadratic. So second difference. With a constant of -6. No. There we go. There we go. All right, now we're going to do number 8. The piecewise function f shown below models the insulin levels of a patient over time where x equals 0 represents 8 o'clock. So we're going to start with the domain, which you would look at the x-axis. It looks like it starts at 0 because it's right there on that y-axis line, and then it stops at 10. And because it's a function that doesn't keep going, or if there's no open circles, it would include those values. So it would be 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 10. And that only starts after 8 o'clock. So we have to add that point because the function starts right there. Okay, and then the range, you would do between this value that I already circled and then the 24, because that is the top part of the function and it doesn't go any higher or lower. So, well, it goes lower, but not at that certain point. So it would be 8 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 24. So the possible insulin levels are 0, 0, 2 is less than or equal to y is less than or equal to 35-ish for most patients. Okay, now in order to find f of 3, we're going to look at the value on the x-axis where 3 is. So I'm just going to draw some dots up there to see where it connects to, and it looks like that's the point where it goes to 24. So f of 3 equals 24, and this means that 3 hours after 8 o'clock, or 11, the patient's insulin level is 24. All right, and then now we're going to find average rate from 0 to 3, which in order to find this, you would need to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'll write that formula up here for anyone that needs it. And you're going to do the values from the graph. So we're going to find 3 first. So we already did that in the problem above. So we're going to insert that into the equation. y2 would be 24.
Yes.
And then the bottom, x2 would be 3. And then when we're finding 0, we just go up and we see that it's 8. So we're going to do 24 minus 8 and 3 minus 0. So this looks like it'll be 16 over 3, which is about the same as 5.333.
Okay, now it's clear it's no longer Spirit Week, so no more wig. But I'm gonna be doing 1.14, so let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna look at is different types of regression, and this is mostly just for your notes. So you can just take a screenshot of this. I just kind of drew out what the shape will be. But yeah, just kind of take note of this and remember it whenever you're solving your equations. So we can go ahead and move on to this question. The force in newtons exerted by a magnet on a metal object is inversely proportional to the square of the distance in centimeters. If a magnet exerts 60 newtons on a metal object 2 centimeters away, what will be the distance when the force is 10 newtons? So here, right off the bat, when you see the term inversely proportional, you know you're going to be using the formula y equals k over x, where k is just a constant of proportionality. So here in this situation, our force is going to be y, so force over k. It's going to be over distance squared, since it's square of the distance. And we're looking for what the distance will be when the force is 10 newtons. So we need to find what our k is going to be with the information that we have. So here we know that 60 newtons equals k over distance squared, and here our distance is 2 centimeters. So 2 squared is 4. So we can multiply both sides by 4, and that's going to be 240 equals k. So now we can find what our distance will be when the force is 10 newtons. So force is 10, our k is 240, and we're looking for our distance squared. So first thing we can do is multiply both sides by distance squared, so it's 10d squared equals 240. Then divide both sides by 10. So now d squared equals 24, and we just take the square root of that. You can either plug that into your calculator and get a decimal, or just leave it like that. I'm going to leave it like that. So our distance is the square root of 24 centimeters away. And that is your answer. Okay, so we're going to be doing piecewise functions next. So the following model tracks the amount of accumulating snow during a snowstorm, where x is the time in hours and f is depth of the snow in inches. So first off, we're going to be finding f of 7. So here, f of 7 would apply to this equation right here, since 7 is between 6 and 9. So x here is 7, so 7 plus 3, which is 10. And this just means that at 7 hours, at 7 hours, the depth is 10 inches. And then for finding average rate of change, the formula that you're going to use is f of b minus f of a over b minus a. So our f of b here is f of 5, our a here is f of, just 4, and then over 5 minus 4. So here f of 5, what's going on? F of 5 refers to this number right here, and then where x equals 4, it's going to be this equation. So here f of 5 is really easy to find, it's just a number, which is 12. And then f of 4 is a bit more difficult to find because we actually have to plug it into an equation, which is really annoying, but okay. So it's going to be 1 over 4 times 4 squared plus 2 times 4, which is 1/4 times 16 plus 8, which is 4 plus 8, which equals 12. So actually we need 12 minus 12 over 1, which is 0 over 1, which means the average rate of change between 4 and 5 hours is actually 0 inches an hour, which makes sense because if we're looking at the amount of snow, or the depth of the snow, at 5 hours and it's 12 inches, and we look at it at 4 and it's also 12 inches, there was no change between that time. So yeah. Okay, we're going to be doing more piecewise functions. So here, find f of 1. And here, 1 is going to apply to this equation because it's between negative 2 and 3. So f of 1 equals 9 times 1. There we go. Minus 1 squared, which is just 9 minus 1, which is 8. And then f of 10 is going to apply to this one right here, actually, not this one, because it's not equal to 10 right here, it's just less than 10. So f of 10 is just 5. Gotten a bit dark, but it's okay. Here, a rental car costs $20 to rent plus 70 cents every mile driven for the first 100 miles. Miles driven over 100 only cost 40 cents. So here we're finding C of 128 miles. And here we know we're going to be using this equation since, sorry, that's embarrassing. Since we're over 100. So I'm going to put 0.4 times 128 minus 100. Plus 90. And this one's actually calculator active, so you can just put that in your calculator and it'll spit out 101.2. And that'll be your answer for that one. How many miles did a customer drive that spent $24 on their rental car? So obviously you don't know if they drove below or over 100 miles, so you're gonna have to use both equations and just set them equal to 24. So 24 equals 20 plus 0.7 m, and you're solving for m. So you do minus 20 on both sides. 4 equals 0.7 m. You divide by 0.7 on both sides, and here m will equal, you have to put that into your calculator, 5.714. So that's your answer. And just make sure we are going to test out the other one, the other equation. So 24 equals 0.4 times m minus 100 plus 90. So we can do minus 90 on both sides. It's negative 66, I think. Yeah. Equals 0.4 times m minus 100. We divide by 0.4. And I don't personally know that off the top of my head, so we can use our calculator. 66 divided by 0.4. Negative 165. Equals m minus 100. And you can also honestly just stop there, because you can see that once you add 100 to both sides, it'll still be a negative number. It's going to be negative 65. And you can't have negative 65 miles. So that's not even an answer. You can just ignore this whole side. Your answer is going to be 5.714 miles. Okay, we're going to be doing more piecewise functions. So here, find f of 1. And here 1 is going to apply to this equation because it's between negative 2 and 3. So f of 1 equals 9 times 1. There we go. Minus 1 squared, which is just 9 minus 1, which is 8. And then f of 10 is going to apply to this one right here, actually, not this one, because it's not equal to 10 right here, it's just less than 10. So f of 10 is just 5. Okay, so here's a multiple choice one. A membership to World Fitness costs $75 per month and includes 10 free fitness classes. Any fitness classes attended after the first 10 free fitness classes cost $5 each. Function C is used to model the cost of a monthly membership to World Fitness, where N is the number of fitness classes taken and C of N is the cost in dollars. Which of the following defines C? So the first one kind of looks right, actually. From 0 to 10 classes, it's going to be $75, and then after 10 classes, it's $5 times the number of classes plus 75. But that one's actually out to trick you, because if, let's say the classes are 15, instead of you paying the $75 and then $5 for those extra 5 classes, so 75 plus 25, it's 100, you're actually going to be paying 5 times the 15 classes plus the 75. So that's going to be out. The second one actually makes more sense because it's the number of classes you have. So let's say it is that 15 minus 10 times 5 plus 75. So I'm going to put a star by this because that seems like the right answer, but we still have to look at the others. Here, from From 0 to 10, it's 75. Over 10, it's 10 times n minus 5 plus 75. That just doesn't even make sense. We can cross that one out as well. 5n plus 75. There's not even a system of equations like we need it to have, since it's different between when it's 10 classes versus over 10 classes, so it's also not an answer, so our answer is going to be B. And that'll be the end of our lesson today. I will be putting all of the questions I used as well as some extra ones in the comments, as well as the answer key, so you can check your work. So good luck on your test.